Alright guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Daniel with Leon Investments, where we offer consulting to those who want to learn how to invest and trade in the stock market. Today's video is going to be related to the stock market, and I kind of want to give some tips to someone who is trying to achieve this business to be able to complement their lifestyle and achieve, ultimate freedom. If you ask me what ultimate freedom is like, it really has to be a blend of things. And I was talking to my friend about this the other day, of what I was kind of discovering what ultimate freedom is and how it's different from society's viewpoint or perspective of what success is. Because you can have ultimate freedom, and that's the true form of success in my opinion, but for someone else who looks at the world differently, maybe ultimate or maybe success is material possession. But I'll tell you why material possessions doesn't provide any form of self-fulfillment, which is on the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. First is safety, love, right? And as you progress at the top of the pyramid, you have self-fulfillment. And a lot of people inherently, subconsciously or consciously, are seeking self-fulfillment. Self-fulfillment is something that, comes at a cost. It doesn't come because you just want it and you kind of achieve it the next day. It's a long process of self-discovery, which comes at a risk, the unknown, the risk of failure, the risk of, having to redirect your life at a late period that is not normalized in the perspective of society. And I'm talking society by the masses and what the masses are programmed to do, which is the traditional grow up, do well, don't get into trouble, which all that is fine. Go to school, get a university degree so that you can get a job. Getting a university degree is, in my opinion, is not bad. Education is great. Now, I just don't think for the purpose of getting a job, I don't think going to the university for the purpose of getting a job is the right approach. Now, of course, we all need to eat in this world. We all need to survive in this world. So it's literally, risk. You have to, nothing's going to guarantee that you're going to get a job at the end of the day. Nothing's going to guarantee that you're going to do well in your own business ventures and, be independent and ultimately discover self-fulfillment. I mean, these are things that we have to be okay with, and we have to be taking the risk. Just because you graduate university doesn't guarantee you a job. Nothing is a guarantee in life. Everything is a series of trade-offs. Like I believe I mentioned in my previous video, Charlie Munger said it best, or Warren Buffett, life is just a series of trade-offs and opportunity cost as it relates to investing in the stock market. If you're successful in the stock market, most likely you're successful in life because you understand the core aspect of what trading is like, how it relates to the real world, which we are trading all the time in our life. We are exchanging, one opportunity cost for another. One decision, we can't make both decisions at the same time. It's, we can't be up two places at once. We can't get two outcomes at once. So it's either you decide or you stay stagnant. So what are you going to do? And you have to decide. You take that risk. Life is essentially, that. And, my viewpoint of what the ultimate freedom is a balance between someone who is wealthy with material possessions and someone who is homeless, who lacks material possessions, but lacks comfort. So of course there's trade-offs between the two. One is homeless. They don't have any comfort in their life. They don't have that ability to go wherever, whenever, because of lack of money. But they also have that ability of not being weighed down by material possessions because they don't have any material possessions. This is going to the minimalist lifestyle, which is kind of a balance, but minimalist lifestyle could be achieved by owning a house, right? For me, the ultimate freedom isn't owning any real estate, but let me get into that as we progress. And then you have a rich person, right? A rich person, when I say rich, I'm saying with material possessions. Then you have a wealthy person who is rich. They have a lot of material possessions, a house, cars, kids, cars for them, university tuition for the kids. You have vacation costs, house insurance, whatever it is, you're paying a lot of money for these material aspects in life. But they don't really have freedom as if a homeless person would, of just not being weighed down by material possessions, because really for them to go and achieve ultimate freedom, which I'm going to share with you what that is, which is a balance between the two, they're going to have to sell their cars, sell their houses, they're going to have to, make actions that isn't simply from one day to the next, or from 1 month to the next, or from 3 months to every 3 months, or like 3 months to the next. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take time and things weigh you down. That's what I mean by weighing you down. Ultimate freedom is ultimate flexibility. One day you're here, next day you want to be over there, but you still achieve a form of stability, comfort, and you're still able to do what you need to do in life, which is, generate income, right? Because we all need to generate income in this world. So it's how do you generate income, which is balancing work, balancing life, balancing our inherent need as humans to conquer, to explore, to travel. We are always travel. Like I believe society has ingrained this idea in people that we need to stay in a certain location because it benefits the economy. If we stay in a certain location, we have the ability to work, right? Because we're not going to be changing work every single time that we switch locations. And of course, back then, work was a physical location. But nowadays, work could be a location on your computer. I mean, it's on the computer. You have the structure put in place and you can be wherever, whenever you'd like. This is a balance. Everything in life is about a balance. And if you find the right balance point, you can achieve ultimate efficiency or ultimate freedom in my perspective. So what is ultimate freedom? You have to have a level of financial freedom or financial security or certainty that you will be able to generate income, right? Then you don't have to generate extraordinary amounts of income to achieve. You just need to have that level of like, okay, I'm gonna some money and I'm going to be able to, have comforts in my life while being able to go wherever I like. And without having to have mental energy go to things that don't really matter in this world. For example, in my previous video, I mentioned that real estate is such, I'm not sure if you guys are a believer, but in Christianity, it says something about, don't store up your treasures on earth where vermin come to destroy or eat or whatever, but store your treasures up in heaven. Why would I want to own anything on this earth if it doesn't complement my lifestyle, if it doesn't complement the freedom aspect of living on this earth? Why would I want to give mental energy to things that don't ultimately matter? We're not on this earth to just generate revenue, generate income, and pay bills. That's known as the rat race, right? And that's what society tries to generate because it benefits the economy. Benefits the economy as a whole, having a workforce that is always needing money, but you need to have them need money. You just can't pay them without, them not needing money. They're eventually just going to leave, right? So it's like, how do you have them go into debt? How do you have them stay in the trap? Well, buy a house, get a mortgage, pay it off in 10, 15 years, 30 years, whatever the mortgage length is, get a car because you need to travel to work, and if you work a good job, you can't be going in the metro, right? What type of person goes in the metro when they're earning $100,000 a year? That's not my perspective, right? That's the perspective that people want to share, or they're like, fine, whatever, you go in the metro. But anyways, I think the metro is a very efficient form of travel, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, and society ingrains this in people's mind so that they act upon that style. But ultimately, they're not going to be happy and they're not going to, receive any satisfaction or self-fulfillment, which is kind of what we're all striving for. We're all trying to strive for self-fulfillment, and that self-fulfillment is different for every individual. Now, I think that on a broad perspective, on a broad basis, you can, ultimate freedom will eventually bring you self-fulfillment. It's the balance between the two. Like, for example, if I receive fulfillment from being able to be maybe a mentor, not a mentor, but someone that can teach someone something, right? If that's my way of getting self-fulfillment, it's like, how do you balance the two so that how do you balance everything so that you can achieve that while also achieving, that ultimate freedom of being able to travel wherever you'd like, whenever you'd like, having that flexibility. And this doesn't cost a lot of money. You're talking, you can probably achieve this with $1,000 a month, verbally, 2,000, 2,500. The more the better, but at the same time, you don't want to be sacrificing anything else in the balance to achieve more wealth. Like, for example, if I want to achieve more wealth, buy some real estate, refurbish the place, I can start sacrificing other areas of my life to achieve that material. But now that's extremes. It's going into an extreme part. It's not a balance. Remember, the rich person and the homeless person, it's finding the balance between the two. And so that's the challenge. That's the challenge that most people don't know how to go about it. They probably know subconsciously, but it hasn't manifested into the conscious side of things. So they're not aware of it. And self-awareness is one of, in my opinion, a great asset, is to be aware who you are. Because if you're aware of who you are, which is done by taking risks and decisions that may not conform or be what society expects you to do, then you will most likely eventually become more self-aware of who you are, and it'll fast track you to ultimate freedom and self-fulfillment. So it definitely is that. For example, like me, if I want to go next month or tomorrow and do a backpacking trip around Southeast Asia or from country to country, if I want to do it, whatever it is, I can simply do it. What do? Well, I take all of my luggages, right? All of my possessions, which are 4 luggages. I put them in a storage unit, pay $20 a month. I have all of my bills on auto pay electronically. I get my backpack, my equipment, and I go off into the sunset. How do I work? Well, thankfully, my business allows me to work over an internet connection. So all I need to have is the proper equipment to be able to work. And so that can be done. And now, how exactly will I get internet in places where there's no cellular data or infrastructure for internet? Nowadays they have Starlink. Starlink is a satellite that they launch up into space, Elon Musk, and you can get internet from space wherever you are. Just set up a Starlink Mini. They have different versions of the Starlink Starlink Mini, Starlink, Maritime, Starlink for RVs, whatever it is, or for the house. There's a Starlink for it. Starlink Mini is a perfect internet, and you get high-speed internet. And you would be surprised. Imagine just being wherever you are, whether you're in the middle of a desert, setting up your high-powered laptop, and gaming, and working, and doing whatever you do to generate income. I mean, that, in my opinion, like, is the ultimate freedom. And that's probably looked down upon as like, why would you want to live in the rural area? You're practically a homeless. Oh no, ma'am, I'm not homeless. I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying life for what it is to offer. I'm fulfilled. And I believe people will become fulfilled when they have that peace. I mean, I saw a video about this neurosurgeon doctor who retired early or quit his job early because he wasn't achieving any self-fulfillment. He was simply treating the pain, providing a temporary solution. And then he would decide to not do any surgery on people because it wouldn't fix them. So it's like constant hamster wheel that society really is. I mean, this is all man-made. And if you go by what man has made, you're going to have a difficult time really achieving God's will for your life, because God's will doesn't depend on man. God's will depends on how he created you. Really depends, just on him ultimately, right? But he didn't create man and man's creation, or he didn't create you for your ultimate purpose in life to depend on man or man's creation. It depends solely on God. And so, that's the flexibility that I like. Now, is that lifestyle not going to make me sacrifice the opportunity of making money or making a lot of money? No, it isn't. Will I be more at peace? Yes, I would be more at peace because, I find peace in the tranquility of nature, away from people. I mean, that's another thing that I've spoke to my friend about, is that if you are in society around people, you are going to act according to how they want you to act subconsciously, because we all want to be accepted. We all want to be part of a posse or a community of some sort. And so subconsciously, we buy certain things to please other people, to be accepted in the community. Now, yes, you can say there's the outliers that like, yeah, no, I don't care about that, but I enjoy living in the city. Okay, really? Do you really enjoy living in the city, and you've made all of your decisions because you wanted to and not because other people expect you to do? Probably not. It's done on the subconscious level, and then it manifests to the conscious level if you build that self-awareness. People do certain things in life, buy a certain car with a certain brand. You put yourself in categories based off of the money that you make. It's all fake. It's all fake. For example, oh, you work in the city? Great. What's your profession? Oh, I pick up garbage. Okay. What's your profession? Oh, I'm a banker. I'm an investment banker. Okay. Well, the investment banker has made more money. Imagine him rolling up in a beaten down Toyota. People are gonna think this. Are you poor? Or because why? Because you have money. Why don't you just buy a Mercedes or a BMW, whatever it is? And they're gonna look at you weird. And you're like, no, I don't care about material possessions. And you're gonna look at you weird. And now you are separated from a community, right? Even you say, oh no, I definitely do have the money. I just don't want to buy a Mercedes. Okay, you're weird. Like. Now you're separated from the community, and people inherently want to be part of a community. And so if you're around certain people, you're going to eventually conform to things that is accepted by that community. If you're a garbage collector, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of these professions, don't get me wrong. I'm just simply putting two extremes here so you kind of understand. If you're a garbage collector, you want a car, you're not going to buy a Mercedes, of course, because maybe it's out of your income, you're not going to be able to afford it. And so you buy like maybe a beaten down car, and now you are putting yourself in categories, right? And people are going to look and say, well, you can't afford a nicer car, and they're going to look down upon you. Now, this is very general, but I believe the generalities here in this example are what really happens. Of course, you have people that don't look down on people because of what they own, right? That's nonsense. But there are people, that are brainwashed, and they will do this stuff, and they won't interact with certain people because they're not at their level, right? It's all fake. It's all fugazi, I guess you can say. It doesn't really matter or exist. It's there because people make it exist, and you put these handcuffs on you. You put these handcuffs and you simply live, right? You simply exist, right? We don't even call it living. We'll call it existing. And that really is only beneficial to the economy. I mean, that structure is creating more desire in people to achieve more possessions that is never ending. You can never achieve, fulfillment in things, because we're not programmed to seek fulfillment in man-made things, but fulfillment in God's will for our life. And like I said, God's will for our life doesn't depend on man-made things or on man alone. So it's really finding that balance between two extremes and in all areas of life. That's my opinion. I think, as a a 27-year-old person, I think that that is something, worth achieving. Now, I'm not going to say I have more wisdom than a person who's 90, 80 years old, but of course, wisdom doesn't depend on age. But for the most part, if you are older, most likely you have more wisdom, right? Because that's essentially how life works. But they're not directly related. Just because you're old doesn't mean you have wisdom. But anyways, that's kind of what I have analyzed and have realized recently, that that's essentially what I've been ultimately trying to achieve subconsciously. It just has manifested on the conscious level. I realized what it is, and that's perfect. Like if I want to go camping on a beach for 3 weeks, I can go camping on a beach for 3 weeks and not have to sacrifice any of my work-related stuff. I can do it. Just like if I were staying at a house or staying at an apartment, I can do it as well. It's not dependent on location. The results that are generated isn't dependent on location. And that's kind of what I was talking also with my dad, is like, well, yeah, I guess you could say wealthy people, they work more, but like wealthy people, their time invested is not directly related to the amount of income they make. So exactly how do they work more if we all have the same amount of time each day? So if anything, they work less to achieve more, basically, because that's just how it is. I mean, do you think the slave owners back then, that's pretty much being the boss, right? In present day, worked more to achieve more? No, they worked less to achieve more by incorporating slaves. I mean, you look at today's society, what's the modern slave? A corporate worker. It is what it is. It is what it is. Do you think they were going to completely abolish the fact that, leveraging other people's time because of their need for money to be able to survive and partake in society was going to go away because they abolished slavery? Yeah, I mean, they abolished slavery of having people do things against their will, but like, how do you make people do things that they're not really wanting to do, but they do it either way because they need to? So that's just another form of slavery. And usually like the high rank of, this is getting a little off topic, but like a high rank slave back then would be someone who would spend time inside the house with the slave owners or whatever, and be at that, I guess you could say, level, right? These levels are all created by man, but whatever, we'll call it that. You can say that would be a doctor, that would be a lawyer. They're still working, they're still exchanging time for money, and so you can call them a high-paid slave or something like that, right? Or right, they weren't on the plantation working endless hours in the heat. They were in comfort, right? And so how do you get that comfort nowadays? Earning more money, achieve certain comforts in your life. I mean, this might not sit well with a lot of people because it's painful. It's a painful ideology to accept. Well, what I'm doing, yeah, I may be considered like a modern slave, but it's recognizing the problem. Not essentially it's a problem. I mean, you have to assess if it is a problem or not, because but it's kind of recognizing what is, to be able to kind of figure out if that's what you want or don't want. It's incredible how our world is, and how man has really brainwashed people to partake in things that aren't ultimately going to benefit them. But it's not to say that anyone not living that lifestyle is greater than other people that are living that lifestyle. In no way am I trying to say that. People come from all walks of life, and we're all trying to put food on the table at the end of the day. We're all trying to have love at the end of the day. We're all trying to have self-fulfillment at the end of the day. All of the categories of Maslow's hierarchy of needs are just trying to be met. It's not for us to put each other down because one person does this and his view is better than the other person. No, we all have our own walks of life. We all have to have empathy for each person, and we help each other. We don't put each other down, and we help each other progress. Like, for example, like this video alone is maybe putting things into perspective for the individual that needs to hear it, to maybe help them achieve something that they want to achieve, that they realize they wanted to achieve. But we do live in this world, so we kind of have to make the best out of it, I guess. So that's just kind of what I wanted to communicate. I said that we were going to talk about, stock market tips or whatever the case is, but we kind of went on an entire, which is fine. I mean, this is how I like to make my videos. It's just, I guess, talking into the mic and looking at myself on the camera here, and sharing value with you guys. But that's just my perspective. Not everyone has the same perspective, but I think it's sound to say that an efficient life is a balance between multiple extremes in life, in all areas. I hope you guys found value in this video. These are just videos that I just start recording and start talking, because I think what I have to say sometimes could help. I mean, of course, there's definitely people out of 9 billion people on this planet who will gain value from what I'm saying, right? Learn something from it. So yeah, that's just my intention with these videos, and it's not to put, in no way, I hope people don't feel like I'm putting people down because of what they're doing in their life. No, Not at all. I'm simply communicating what I think is true, what I think will help people achieve self-fulfillment. Look back at your case. Is this actually going to provide you self-fulfillment, or do you think it's for the sake of other people, of pleasing other people? I encourage the person to separate themselves from society and really dive into who you are as a person. And I think that's why those endeavors exist, like people just going into the wilderness by themselves and really trying to figure themselves. I think that's kind of why there's a demand for those types of trips, right? Because and people pay a lot of money for those trips because, you know, usually the people that are looking for that are people who have a lot of money, who have a lot of material possessions of society, right? And they need to find themselves because they haven't found themselves, haven't found peace in themselves or fulfillment in themselves. That's something to consider as well. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you'd like some more of these videos that are kind of random, feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to trade in the stock market, I have a free Discord community where you can just join and access all of those resources where you can learn how to trade and potentially implement trading to your lifestyle, which will eventually give you the ultimate freedom that you desire because you're not, you know, committing a lot of time for things of this world, right? That's kind of one of the benefits of the stock market is you can make a lot of money. You could also lose a lot of money. That's not denial. I mean, you can't deny that. All about risk management. Even life is about risk management. It's how you manage risk, how you decide what you decide to, you know, trade for another decision. Like it's all of life is implemented in the stock market. And in life, you do have to take risks. You can't live life without taking risk. It just doesn't work. If you're living life without taking risk, you're going to be in the same spot or worse because we're either becoming healthier or we're becoming unhealthier. We're either finding more life or having less life. You know, constant life, constant movement. It's just how it is, right? Anyways, feel free to check out the link in the description. If you're interested in paid services such as consulting, feel free to schedule a complimentary discovery call and we'll hop on 15-30 minute call and we'll see if we're a good fit so I can consult you on how to trade in the stock market. But those are my 2 cents. I'm not saying it's right. That's just my opinion, and I think it may resonate with a lot of people. Anyways, have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.